Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, I want to look at this article from Yahoo Finance where they talk to Mr. Kevin O'Leary, famous Canadian investor, Canadian businessman. They're basically saying here, or Kevin's saying here, $500,000 is enough to financially be able to do nothing else to make money. It's like the financial independence number, the FI number, the FIRE number, if you will. $500,000, you guys. And I found this interesting because I've seen other interviews with Kevin, and he's basically saying like 5 million is kind of where you should be at. 500K is the benchmark they're using in this article. I feel like that's a lot more attainable and realistic for people to get to rather than 5 million. I think 5 million is just pretty out of reach and unrealistic for most people. Having said all that, guys, we're going to look at this article and we're going to also compare it to a mock portfolio that I went ahead and built and see what the differences are from the strategies that he talks about here in this article. But before we get into things, guys, as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Having said all of that, let's take a look at this article. It starts out with that a generation's been bombarded with headlines about needing 1.5 million to retire. I've actually seen headlines that are even higher than that. So they say here that Kevin O'Leary's number seems suspiciously low. So they asked him, what amount of money would you say it takes for someone to be wealthy or at least comfortable? This is his answer. It depends on what you want out of life. It's all about lifestyle, he said in a 2023 YouTube short. You can live off $500,000 in the bank and do nothing else to make money because off of that 500,000, you could make 5% in fixed income, or you can go to 8.5 to 9% in equities. So they're looking 25 to $45,000 a year in passive income, assuming you don't touch the principal. So guys, we're going to look at different examples of funds where, if you were just trying to invest your money somewhere and you just wanted to pull all the dividends out, what type of investments would you be looking at, guys, right? And it's what it says here at this bottom line at the top of the page. You have to be smart about how you use it. And that, in my opinion, goes without saying. Do not invest in your brother's restaurant or a bowling alley or a bar. The article goes on to basically talk about debt and finances and different investments. They talk about real estate investing. They talk about, buying hotels and stuff like that. Guys, I think what they're trying to really get at is if you have that $500,000 and you're looking for safe investments, I mean, they talk about 5% in fixed income or 8.5 to 9% in equities. So I think, looking at benchmark indexes, the big ones, S&P 500, NASDAQs, large mainstream investments. And that's kind of what we're going to look at here. So I've built a mock portfolio here, you guys. And what I've gone ahead and done is put 5 different diversified funds and ETFs together. So these are all diversified in large cap assets. Many of them are benchmarked against stuff like the S&P 500. And even something like HHIS, where you've got some huge names in there. You've got the Amazons and Costco's of the world and Nvidias, and you've got some other up and comers too. But you've got a very diversified, in my opinion, diversified funds here to work with. So HYLD is just going to give you that core US exposure. EIT income fund. Now this one it's got that consistent track record. It's got a low yield, but this could be a great anchor for your portfolio, especially if you're kind of more of a conservative investor and you want an anchor. It doesn't have that dividend growth that HDIV does though, right? So HDIV could be interchangeable with EIT UN. Maybe it's even better in some regards because we are building a portfolio that, as you guys can see here, some of these funds have good dividend growth records. And if you're going to be extracting all of that income, I do feel like that's important. We've got HHIS down here at the bottom just to crank up that yield on this portfolio because a lot of these other funds are, in the 7 to 12% yield range, right? So Okay, so I've gone ahead and put $100,000 into each one of these funds. And then what we're going to assume is that you're not going to drip it. We're not, doing a simulation where you reinvest half or anything like that. This is just extracting all of the income. So here's what the portfolio looks like, guys. Your average yield is coming out to 11.58%. Your investment return, annual return estimate of just over 12%. And then your annual income, your first year income will be about 67,500. And then in 2027, you're looking at an estimated income of 71,000. And the reason that that income's gone up is because you take a look at HYLD, HDIV, BMAX, just that forward looking dividend growth, right? Of course, that is not promised, it's not guaranteed, but we're trying to select funds that, if we are looking at an investor who's extracting all of the dividends, having that natural dividend growth is nice. It gives you that cushion. You don't have to worry so much about reinvesting if that's not what you're able to do. But again, guys, you're looking at around $70,000 per year off of a $500,000 investment. And through this $500,000, you get multiple different ETFs, multiple different ETF providers, diversification across the US, large cap stuff, Canada, closed end fund in there as well. There's a lot of different ways we could change this portfolio to crank up the yield and, diversify it further. Or if you needed more yield, we could also change things there too. I just tried to build kind of a baseline investor portfolio, assuming that most, if not all, of the distributions are getting spent and taken out. It's kind of what this article, it kind of what it sounds like to me off this article is, you're living off of that interest, you're living off of that income, that $500,000. But here, like as you guys can see, they're looking $25 to $45,000 a year. Now, in my opinion, even $45,000 a year is really not enough for most people probably to live off of. So I think when you see the power that some of these funds could do, you're looking at 70,000, maybe even upwards of 70,000 a year through these different investments. And of course, again, guys, there is ways to change these yields and stuff like that too, depending on your risk tolerance. So let me know what you guys think. Is $500,000 the FI number? Is that kind of like the magic fire number? I feel like $500,000 you could play around with a lot. You could get access to a lot of different funds and build out a portfolio that's really going to fit your needs. I personally would disagree with this fixed income and stuff like that. I wouldn't even go towards that. I don't think $500,000 is enough to do that. I think. I think I saw an article with Kevin talking about millions of dollars, and you've got some in fixed income and stuff. I mean, yeah, if you've got millions of dollars, you could, work with small yields. But $500,000, guys, I think, looking at a portfolio like this, something with a 10% yield or more is going to be more realistic, I think, for a budget that is actually, realistic to live off of. So, anyways, guys, leave me a like and leave me a comment. Do you think $500,000 is that magic fire number, or should it be more? I think with all of these different funds we have to work with now, $500,000, well, it seems pretty realistic to me. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.